English for Beginners. Lesson 13. The tenses of regular verbs and markers. In this video, we are going to see three main tenses in the English language, which are the simple past, simple present, and future. Part 1. The simple present tense and markers. The uses. The simple present is used with the following situations. I have several situations where we must use the simple present tense. In the first one is when there is repeated action. Repeated action like the teacher often evaluates his pupils, which means the teacher evaluates his pupils many times, more than one time, maybe two, maybe three, maybe four per week. So here, the teacher often evaluates his pupils. This is for repeated action. Second, in the general truths. The general truths are something or things that doesn't change at all, like the sun rises in the east. الشمس تشرق من الشرق. Here, this is truth. هذه حقيقة ثابتة لا تتغير. 3. Instruction. Example, open your copybook. Here, I give an instruction to my students or my pupil. Open your copybook. Or close the door. Open the window, etc. Also, it can exist with an order. Number 4, sequence of actions in the present. When we have several actions that exists in the present, like example, first I revise the lesson, then I pass my exam. أولا أراجع دروسي وبعدها أقوم بالامتحان. Both of them, both actions exist in the present. So I revise the first action, then I pass the second action. Number 5, expressing a habit. A habit is something that I use to do. Like they drink coffee at breakfast every day. Every day here is a marker of the present tense. The markers are the words that show the tense you must use in the sentence. Every day is the marker of the simple present. They drink coffee at breakfast. So they drink coffee and nothing else. They used to drink coffee. Number 6. With verbs such as to love, to think, to hate, etc. It's like an emotion here, like she loves her parents. She loves her parents. We cannot say she will love her parents. No, it's in the present. She loves her parents. The form, concerning the form with other way to form the simple present. Here we only need to put the verb in the infinitive with all the personal pronouns I, you, etc. There is only exception with the third personal pronouns. This pronoun she, he, it, we have to add the letter s to the verb without the infinitive, like the first one. In the first example, the teacher here, it's he, the personal pronoun he. So I added the letter s to the verb evaluate as because it's the third personal pronoun. And the same thing with the second one, the sun rises, and the last one, she loves. Concerning the markers, I mentioned here some of them, like every day, sometimes, often, always, usually, seldom, and never. This is concerning the simple present. Exceptions. I have two exceptions here concerning the present, the verb in the present. The first exception, when the verbs ending in o, ch, which is cha, sh, which is sha, s, and x. In this situation, we added es instead of s alone with the third personal pronoun. So here, this is the first exception with the third personal pronoun she, he, and it's when the verb ends with one of these letters, o or sha, cha, s, and x, we need to add the es instead of as alone. I have an example here, like the verb to do and to establish. He does establish, she establishes. Okay, concerning the second one, which is the verb ending in y after a consonant. So we have some verbs that end with the letter y and preceded by consonants. لدينا هناك بعض الأفعال التي تنتهي بحرف ال y ويسبقها حرف يدعى consonant like t, p, etc. Here, the letter y becomes ie before adding the letter s with the third personal pronouns always. Example, worry. Worry. Here I have the letter Y in the end, preceded by the letter R, a consonant. It becomes worries with the third personal pronouns. She worries. Y. So IE instead of Y and the letter S. Part 2. The simple past tense and markers. Of course, we start with the uses. Concerning the simple past is used with the following situations. I have two main situations where we use the simple past. For the first one, action finished in the past, which means an action that started and finished in the past. Example, I have examples here. I watched the Titanic movie last week. Last week is the marker of the simple past. Here, I put the verb to watch in the simple past by adding ed. So I watched the Titanic movie last week. The second example, we visited grandmother yesterday. The last one, he stopped playing football 2 years ago. I mean, ago or years ago is the marker of the simple past. For the second one situation, series of completed actions in the past, which mean several actions started and finished in the past. Example, first she collected the papers, then corrected them. Are the papers of the exam, for example. So first she collected the papers. The first action collected them in the past, and then she corrected them also in the past. So the form here, we put the verb in the infinitive plus ed with all personal pronouns. Here there is no exception with the third personal pronoun. We have the same rule by adding ed with all of them. Concerning the markers of the simple past, I have 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, etc. ago, last week, last night, last year, I have yesterday, I have before, etc. Concerning the exceptions, I have 4 exceptions here for the simple past. For the first one, if a short verb and with a consonant, vowel, consonant, which means if I have vowel between two consonants in the verb, short one, here we double the last letter and then added the ed, which means I have two things here or I have two rules. I double the letter, the final letter, which is a consonant, and then I added the letters ed. This is only with short verbs when the vowel is between two consonants. I have examples here like stop and top. I have P, both P and T in both of them, and the vowel O between the two. So stopped becomes stopped, double the letter P and added ed. Also with the top, it will be topped. This is for the first exception. Concerning the second exception, however, do not double the last letter if the verb ends in Y, X, or W. I have these three things. When the verb last with, or sorry, when the verb ends with three of these letters, here we do not double the letter at all, or directly put ed and with x, y, and w. Example: mix, mixed. X in the end, I added only ed. If the verb ends in e, here we just added the d, because we have some verbs that end with the letter e or the vowel e. Here I only we added the letter t in the end in the simple past without the ed. For example, creates, created, live, lived. This is for the third situation. For the fourth one, which is the fourth exception, if the verb ends in consonant plus y. So here I have the verb. Let's say the verb ends with the letter y preceded by a consonant. Here we change the y to I and added ed. We have two things. We need to change the letter y to the vowel I and added the ed, the form of the simple past. Example: try, tried. Here I turned the letter y to I and added the ed. Play, played. This is concerning the simple past exceptions. Part 3: the simple future tense and the markers, which is the easiest tense in the English language. Here, concerning the uses, it's very simple. Here, we used to talk about things that have not happened yet, which mean the action don't exist yet, or an action or condition that will begin and end in the future, or an action that will start and ends in the future. Let's see the examples here. Stephen will learn a new language this year. For the coming future, it's a near future. Stephen will learn new language this year. So this year, it is the marker of the future sample. The second example: you will stop playing football. You will stop playing football, which means now you are playing. Later on, you will stop playing it. The last one: they will sleep till noon if no one wakes them up. Concerning the form, it's very simple. Here we have only to omit the letter to and added will plus the verb in the infinitive. Will sleep, will learn, will stop, will play, etc. And it works with all the personal pronouns without any exceptions. For the markers, I have coming year, next week or next month, this year as the example we have here, and so on. We have several markers. I mentioned in only a little or some of them. Practice. Let's see a practice here. Put the verbs between brackets to the appropriate tense. So here I have several situations or several statements, maybe six statements, where each one contain a verb. I must put the verb to the appropriate tense. Of course, there is a markers. For example, in the first one, I sometimes forget my car's key. Here I have already the marker sometimes. So sometimes is the marker of the present. So I sometimes forget my car's key in the present, the verb in present. My son in Algeria nowadays. Nowadays. Nowadays it's the marker here. So my son lives in Algeria nowadays. I have the verb in the present plus s because it's with third in the present with third personal pronoun by son he. You traveled last year. Last year, so it's the past. You traveled last year. Go to the school. Here it's an instruction as it could be an order. Go to school directly. Number five, she go to the market every day. Every day is the marker here. So she goes to the market every day. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow is the near future. So it will rain tomorrow. It will rain tomorrow.